In light of our gospel today, and in light of the fact that we just finished in the Archdiocese our fiscal year 2025-2026, the new fiscal year always begins on July 1st, I want to take this opportunity in this homily to preach a bit and talk a bit about all of the different fruits that have borne here at St. John that we have to be proud of, that we have to celebrate. Because I think it's important, as everyone has different sort of snapshots of what they're involved in or what they see, to see the big picture of everything that goes on here. It really is an incredible story. First of all, I would argue that we probably have as many, if not more, baptisms than just about any other parish in the Archdiocese. With the exception of Advent and Lent, almost every single Sunday, after the 10:30 especially, we have, if not 1, 2, 3, sometimes even 4 baptisms every week. This week's no exception with 2. But it's not just that we do baptisms for our infants, that also then able to provide for our children, so many of whom we can see here today, our children who go here, an incredible Sunday school program that's called the Catechesis of the Good Shepherd, in which from the very young age, really until they get to about confirmation age, they are able to grow in the faith, to prepare, for example, for their first communion as we had this past May. And we get to do one of the most important things that we do as a church, to hand on our faith to the next generation in such a way that not only do they learn all of the things, all of the facts and things, catechism stuff that they learn, but also learn to fully embrace and to love this faith that we are given. Then, of course, as you know, St. John's has become known recently for its college ministry, its campus ministry. Nearby, the former campus of IUPUI, every single week, particularly with Father McCarthy, who serves as chaplain, and the focus missionaries and the group that is there, they see hundreds of students for their weekly mass, their Bible studies, their mission outreach, the things that they do, the Seek conference that they go to, all these ways in which we are able to maintain the faith at a point in life which statistics show us is the largest drop-off from practicing our Catholic faith, the college years. As you may know, IUPUI, what was formerly IUPUI, has split into 2 different universities, one being Indiana University of Indianapolis, the other Purdue University of Indianapolis. And in the plans that they have for this, of the development and growth, and if you go in that area, you can see all the different properties they've bought up and are building on. By the time that is complete, the combination of those 2 universities will be the single largest student population in the state of Indiana. Bigger than IU Bloomington, bigger than Purdue Lafayette. It will be here in Indianapolis. And so all the more reason for us to continue our foothold there at the universities, to continue to offer as much as we can for students to continue to engage their Catholic faith. And we're seeing great fruits of that. Because after college, we also see here at St. John's our young adult ministry, roughly ages 21 to about 39. As an aside, by the way, I'm 39 this year, so we'll see if they let me come next year to the young adult things when I'm 40. But anyways, the young adult ministries, when we see, if you ever see one of those socials, 60, 70, sometimes up to 80 or 90 of them coming together, not so much necessarily because they live right by here. As a matter of fact, not that many people live in our actual physical parish boundaries. It's because they come here because they found that community of young men and women who want to continue to engage in the faith and to be with one another, not just in fellowship and socially, but also in the formation, in the adoration, those before we adore nights, the retreats, the things that we're able to offer to see the growth in that area. Our OCIA class this past year, nearly 60 people, continues a trend of those who have found their way to the Catholic faith and then want to become a part of what we have. For those beyond even young adults, our families, our parents, and those who come here seeking not only the sacraments, but also the Bible studies that we engage in and our outreach to the city. You know, the Cathedral Soup Kitchen, which our Emmaus ministry has partnered with to support financially and with volunteers, is the flagship soup kitchen of Catholic Charities of the Catholic Church in the entire city of Indianapolis. You'll find in the bulletin in the worship aid today a sort of special edition, which beginning on page 13 shows all of these different things from this past fiscal year. And I want you especially to pay attention to the statistics of that cathedral soup kitchen. How many meals, hot meals, are served throughout each and every week to the most vulnerable and the poorest of the poor here in our city. The sacraments, faith formation, outreach. We have, as you know, we're the wedding capital of Indianapolis when it comes to weddings. 70-some weddings over the past few years consistently. And I know it's because for many of them we have this long, beautiful aisle and this big old beautiful church. But because of the way that we treat those weddings, the dignity and seriousness of it, I can promise you, everyone that comes here for that, to witness those weddings, it is a formation and outreach event to grow in our Catholic faith. We have a seniors ministry with our varsity club. We have so much more even than is captured in that snapshot which is given to you in today's bulletin. And as we heard in that gospel, all of this begins with such small seeds. For anyone who's been here for the past few decades, I know that you've seen a tremendous amount of growth. This past year marked my first full year here as pastor, and I have to say, with Father Rick, who was here for 16 years before me, the seeds that he planted in the outreach to the universities and trying to keep those young adults here so that they can also then stay here as their families so we can continue to grow what this church is. We're not a suburban parish surrounded by neighborhoods, and yet we have as much as any of those parishes as far as vibrancy, youth, and those who come seeking to grow in their faith. I've said it before, and I'll say it again now. St. John's is the crown jewel of Catholicism in Indianapolis. Part of that is because of where we are. We're right here in the middle of everything. But when people come in here to see this place, it's not just an old, beautiful church, probably one of the most beautiful in the state that they get to see. It's also a full church in the full vibrancy and glory of the Catholic faith. That is possible because of the seeds planted. And as you'll see in that report, with all of this incredible growth, with all of this incredible opportunity and all the wonderful things we also have challenges. And as much as I'm not a huge fan of talking about this, our number one challenge is financial. It's a wonderful thing that we get to engage so many college students and young adults and those who are just beginning their lives as adults. But because of that, we don't necessarily have the largest base of donors like other parishes. The top-heavy parishes with those who are established and able then to support the work of the church. We rely instead on a much broader base, a broader base of those who are able to give what they can, no matter what it is. And as our gospel tells us many times, that's all that truly matters. To give what we are called to give what we are able to give, different for everybody, different at different times in life, and to trust in the blessings that God gives us from those seeds planted. Not just, of course, financially, but also those who give of their time. 90% of what we do here, we would not be able to do if it was just me and Deacon and our staff. Of course, we rely on that as the foundation, but we also then rely on our countless parishioners who you'll see at Mass as the greeters, extraordinary ministers, lectors, music, and those who are in our different councils, our different commissions, those who give of their time to make all of this happen. That time and treasure is what keeps us going with all those wonderful things. This large church, our new building, all these things, they do cost money. The support of our staff is necessary and depends on this as well. And right now with our $1 million debt, because of that wonderful parish hall that we're able to use, including after this Mass with coffee and donuts, we have a significant challenge of making the ends meet. And yet I say this with incredible hope, because we've already seen the fruits and we will continue to see the fruits. It's not that we're saying, look at everything that's happened, we're done, we did it. We're saying, look at the foundation we have to keep building on, to keep growing from. And I want to say personally, thank you all so very much for those who have supported us and continue to support us in any way they can. For those who are new, it is an incredible opportunity to find where you fit in, find where you're called not only to give of your treasure, but to give of your time and to experience what we have to offer. And even for those who are just in Indy visiting, and every weekend about a fourth of you are just visiting, welcome here, and we're glad to have you. And just know that your generosity is also a huge part of what makes things work. So thank you very much, and let's continue to plant those seeds and continue to see the fruit. The final thing I'll say in light of the gospel is, yes, of course, as we hear, there are always going to be weeds in a church of humanity, meaning difficulties, things that we face, the divisions within the church, the very human element of the church, not just here at St. John's, but the church at large. The church is not of this world, but it is in this world, and because of that, we see that. And yet at times, that's all we focus on. That's all the media focuses on. That's all social media focuses on. And while that will always be with us for us to continue to grow from, to learn from, to try to heal, it is far outweighed by the good things we see happening. A great resurgence in the fervor of our faith, and we see it here as we see it all over the country. So let's continue to grow upon that and thank God for that gift, and continue to thank Him for all that happens here at St. John. For it is our encounter with Christ that makes it possible.